What are a few pieces of optics that you're really excited about this year?
That you can tell us about.
Yeah. I'm going to try and pry information out of you, so just say what you can.
Keep it locked away.
Welcome to the SCHEELS Outdoors podcast, your source for information on hunting, fishing, and all of your outdoor passions.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the SCHEELS Outdoors podcast. Mike Anderson here, along with my co-host Solomon Bach.
Howdy.
And Ashley Blank. And to the right of me here, we have line leader analyst Kevin Deetz. Kevin, how you doing today?
Good, man. What's going on?
Oh, just doing a little podcasting. So glad to have you in studio here with us.
And congratulations, just had a baby.
Yeah, Monday.
Your wife did.
Yeah, I looked. No, yeah. Stop.
You look great.
No, yeah, Monday. Monday, baby girl showed up. So
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank
So
you.
fourth girl.
Fourth girl, 4 girls.
Yeah, just full on embracing the girl dad.
Yeah, I really don't have a choice.
Yeah, we really don't have a choice in the matter.
I'm not a scientist, but I'm still blaming it on her.
Oh, okay.
She says I decide that, but I don't think it's your fault.
Oh, love
Funny.
it. So, great. So we're gonna be talking about some hunting today. So are you ready for that?
I would love nothing more than to do that.
Perfect. Pretty much all of us would love nothing more than that, especially you, Ashley.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I would talk more about the baby, but that's fine too. Yeah.
Priorities.
Oh, so how about you tell us a little bit about your role here at SCHEELS? What you do exactly?
Well, when I first came here, I started as a co-line leader, and essentially just stepped into the analyst role to learn more about the business and learn a little bit more about what a line leader does, what a co-line leader does, and ultimately it was just a better decision for the family and for myself and for the company in general. So stepped into that, and I didn't realize how much the roles are exactly the same. You know, I'm not required to travel really as much, so that's really the main difference. But stepped into this and now just learning the business from literally top to bottom, left to right on everything that they do. So helping anywhere from hunting to grilling to archery to optics, a little bit of guns here and there. It's a pretty good gig.
Yeah, I'd say.
I believe that.
Give me like the 60-second of like what an analyst actually does, like on a daily.
Really just digging into numbers, and you gotta like numbers, you gotta like spreadsheets. But really, I guess to really dive into it would be just to what makes the heartbeat, what's driving sales, what isn't driving sales, where are we missing, where can we capitalize on, that type of thing, and then you just work with your line leader teams to give them the best information that you can at that point in time, and make the best decision for the team and the company in general, and move forward from there. So it's been really good. I learned a lot, more than I thought I was going to. Essentially, kind of had a little bit of an ego check to where I thought I knew most of it, but then just like everybody in these buildings, there's always something you can learn from everybody, and I learned something. I truly do. I learn something new every day. So it's been really good, really fun to see what the future holds.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but you get to see a lot of new products before they ever hit the shelves, right?
Yeah, I am. I'm very fortunate in both, working here at, in the buying office, but then also knowing I have friends and acquaintances that are in the outdoor industry, both inventors, company owners, and I get asked by some of these people on my thoughts on it, and will it sell, and would you use it, what do you like about it, what would you change? So yeah, I do get to see quite a bit of stuff, and that's both a perk for just knowing who you know, but also getting to work for SCHEELS in general.
That would be impossible for me to keep my mouth shut if that was the case. Absolutely no way.
Yeah, it's really hard, but it's one of those things to where it's kind of the perk of the job.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have that job, I wouldn't get to know about it, right? Or if I didn't know these people, I wouldn't know that this is coming or X is getting changed or whatever it might be. So maybe not as much as the team members over in the buying office, but I get to see and hear about some stuff more than some people.
Cool.
Perfect.
That doesn't suck.
No, no, it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, just a big old grin on his face right now.
I tell my wife every once in a while, and she's like, I don't know what that is.
But I'm gonna
That's
get
really
it.
cool.
She's the perfect person
I'm
to tell
glad
us
for
things
you.
to.
I'm going to be in the garage.
Yeah.
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 All right. Well, we're going to dive into a little bit of that product talk in a bit here, but let's start out with a little introduction, how you got into hunting and what keeps you into it.
It's kind of the cliche answer, but I have a picture of me and my sister when we were 6 and 5, dressed in orange top to bottom and way too big of pants, going out with Dad, right? So those, it kind of goes back to my old man, and took me hunting for the first time, and sat me down on a stool in the middle of the woods right next to him, and I'm pretty sure I was the most quiet person there, and I didn't eat any snacks or Snickers or anything like that.
No Cheetos in the bag or anything?
Yes, sorry, Dad. And now he goes on with me. I'm like, would you stop talking?
It's payback time.
Yeah, it all comes around.
Yeah, so I would say that's where it really started. But I would say where my true passion really grew and where I just became obsessed with deer was, I call him my uncle, but he's technically my cousin. My cousin Wayne and Ryan and Jake, their knowledge and ability to kill giant whitetails has just been something I was just drawn to, and I just wanted to learn from these guys. And so I'd pick their brains and just learn as much as I could, and I would want to go hunting with them. I mean, I remember times where there was a 2-person shack, and I would invite myself to go sit with Jake and Wayne in the gun blind just because I wanted to sit with them. I wanted to learn. I wanted to talk. I wanted to see what they do. See what they do different than I do. And just learn. It was all selfish. Learning from these guys and wanting to go with these guys, and then it grew into my brother, who is a whitetail freak as well, and then my stepdad. So it was kind of a small army for me, really. But I would say where that passion really grew and where I really my life started to revolve around whitetails was from Wayne and Jake and Ryan, for sure.
There's
That's
been a
pretty
couple
cool.
instances of 3 people in a 2-man blind in my case. So, yeah, it's a little tight.
Oh man! Once we get off this, I'll tell you some real good stories.
Perfect. Yeah, and then I'm sure you're going to run into that in a few years once your girls get a little bit older, and then all of them are going to want to be in the blind with Daddy. And
Yeah, and to be honest with you, when I first decided to make the move and move my family to Fargo, that was what a lot of my friends brought up to me, like, you're giving up some of the best hunting in the country to move out to Fargo for your job. Are you sure you want to do that? And ultimately it was like, well, there's hunting out in North Dakota. Like, it's not like I'm done hunting, and it's it's a 5-hour drive, 4.5-hour drive. But really, yeah, what it came down to is now I get to take what those people in my life taught me, and I get to kind of start my own little thing with my daughters. And very, very fortunate to have met somebody out here that has a farm, an hour west of here, and he's given me all access to it. So it's been a blessing in disguise to where now I have my own thing. But going back to see Dad or Grandpa with the kids, it's funny, where I thought I couldn't put a tree stand, all of a sudden I have my oldest daughter go ask Dad, and now I can put a tree stand wherever I want on the farm. So it's like,
Just gotta get her to ask.
yeah, I just gotta go ask Grandpa.
yeah,
So
perfect.
it's been good. It's going to be a learning challenge for sure. Because they are so young. But then you're seeing people in the outdoor world, shooting stuff and partaking in the outdoor space at 5, 6, 7 years old, and I'm like, man, I just, as a dad, that's really tough because I want to take him out there a couple of years ago, but I just, it's walking a fine line, and I don't think there's a right answer. I think it, goes based on, how you feel and how, how your child can handle a weapon, for one, can control it and knows you're about to take an animal's life type of thing. So it's a lot of teaching on my end of the spectrum as well, but I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to have her shoot their first deer or turkey or whatever it is, because they're already asking.
Oh,
which
good.
is-
I was going to ask.
Yeah, which is so awesome. They want to go hunting so bad. And we'll see. We're going to go back this week into Wisconsin, and hopefully Grandpa will let me move a stand where I want. So if you could hurry up and make this air.
We'll expedite the process.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, man. Yeah.
Perfect. You gonna put any trail cameras out when you go back?
It's funny because that's exactly what my wife asked. Like if I have, how many trail cameras I have. So I run.
That's a question you have to lie in the answer.
Yeah, I got a couple.
2 or 3.
I got a couple.
Yeah.
The plan is to deploy the rest of them. I have probably 5 or 10 out right now, and try to set up the rest of the system and get it up and rolling when I get back.
Nice.
So if you got a few $100 for batteries and solar panels, I get paid for this, right?
Yeah.
We're
work it
looking
into
for
the
some
plan.
money for a microphone, actually. So.
We're balling on a budget.
No.
You can't even tell this microphone.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Oh, love it. Well, let's dive a little bit into trail cameras. Tell us about a couple of new ones that are out on the market now. Ones that you're excited to try. Some that you've had some good success with.
I used to be, before trail cameras came along, or I should say cell cameras. It was funny because I remember when cell cameras first became a thing to the industry, and my brother was like, "These are going to revolutionize the hunting world." I was like, "Nobody's going to pay to run a camera. Like that's just insane. Like when you can go pull a card for free," and then you start to learn about it, and I just got fascinated with it quickly because he had bought a couple, actually from SCHEELS before I even worked there, and I just became fascinated with it. So I wouldn't say that I run a specific camera. Especially working here, and getting to know people in the outdoor industry and having the ability to run multiple styles of cameras and multiple brands that, I would say, every year there's obviously new technology and something new is coming out. That's just the way the world is right now. But that revolver from Stealth is it's unlike anything. There was actually a camera that came out like that a few years ago, but it just had too many kinks and it didn't work. And that's why I think this is taken off well, because it's something people haven't seen work correctly to use its most potential. So that revolver is insane. And then I am a big fan. I'm very fortunate to where, my dad and my family own a bunch of acreage in the Wisconsin area. So I'm going to run multiple cell cameras on the farm, but only pay one plan, and that's in that Cuddy Link system that I'm sure most of the people know about. So not to get too depth into that, but it's one cell plan and 24 cameras, and I actually run 34 of those. So I run 2 separate plans on a couple different farms, but that's probably my go-to, that Cuddy Link system, just because I really like the ability to run multiple cameras for one plan. Really is what it comes down to.
So can you explain that to me, like the cell plan?
Yeah.
Like cell phone
Yeah.
plan? Okay.
It kind of started off to where, just like I'm sure, you have a cell phone, you go to the store, you add, a year or 2 years to your plan. That's how it started. A lot of these cell cameras started where you would physically take the camera to the cell phone store, to Verizon or AT&T, and they would have to put a SIM card in it and activate it, put it on your cell plan, and then you just pay for it every month. And I think some of the ones that were leading the industry were, $5 a month, $7 a month for unlimited pictures, or for 250 pictures. It varied, right? So that's kind of how that all started. Well, then Cuddyback came out with, and they're the only company to have the Link system. So really what that means is you got 23 cameras that you can put out that are just a camera, but they send a signal. They send the picture to a home camera, that is the actual cell home. So it's the base, or a cell home base, however you want to, whatever you want to call it. And then once that collects, and you can change that to where it will send every 20 pictures, every 10 pictures, once a day, once every 24 hours, once 48 hours, whatever. You can manipulate that. And I think that's why I fell in love with that system, because you can really maneuver it to however you want to use it. right? So especially moving to Fargo, to where I can't just go and get out and change a camera or add batteries to it or change a setting, and to to get my dad to do it, I might as well teach you Braille. I have
I'm
a
with you
picture.
on that one.
I have a picture on my phone, and I have a camera with some weeds in front of it, and I texted him 2 weeks ago and asked him to go just cut down some weeds in front of this thing. I'll get to it when I get time. He hasn't even done that. So
You don't even have to touch the camera, just cut the weeds.
yeah, that's all. That's seriously all it is. And so I had to just, I just suspended that because it was,
Yeah.
250 pictures a day, and what it is. But that's what's nice about cell cameras is, I don't have to intrude into the woods, and that's what I love. I really don't like, and I watch hunting a lot. So I'm always trying to learn something from whatever episode I watch, or whoever I'm talking to. I always try to learn something new, at least one thing new. And that's kind of an unwritten rule, is you want to try not to intrude as much as possible. And that's really, that's no secret. That's what cell cameras have done to the game, and that's why I think people are getting to be more and more successful, is you don't have to intrude until you see, your target or targets in the area. So really that's what it comes down to. And then aside from the link system, a standalone camera, like most of them are, takes a picture, sends it to you. And the link system is essentially 24 cameras on one plan.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I have a question about that because I haven't run CuddyLink system. But is it $40 a month, I think, for the plan or something like that?
Yeah, it varies, right? Like it starts off, I think you can get low as $5 or $8, $10 a month. But you can go to unlimited for all 24 cameras for $40.
And that's the same price no matter if you have 2 cameras or 24.
Exactly, and I should preface this by saying I didn't just go out and buy 24 cameras. I just every year I would get a couple more, and my wife, it was about the easiest Christmas shopping she had for the last few years.
I need another camera.
Yeah, she would just
Camera
go
you
in.
got last year, 2 more of them.
Yeah. She'd go in and be like, Miller, yep, here you go, here's the camera, and off you go. So yeah, it was the same thing for my mom and everybody. I would just slowly get those cameras and get them added up, and then, sure enough, then Wayne and Jake and Ryan, they got into that same camera system, and so we were able to add emails to those camera lists, and ultimately just share the same information, so we were all on the same page. And I think that's
Cool.
That's helped us become successful in the whitetail woods where we're at.
The whole one plan thing is super nice. Like I said, I've never run CuddyLink, and I'm super intrigued to try that revolver. I've got one of those ready to get put out too, but the one plan that's a deal.
Yeah, it really is, and I do. I have a couple of Muddy cameras. I have a couple of their cell cameras. I have just about every camera you could possibly think of, but I just always find myself circling back to that Cuddy. And a lot of people, those keyboard warriors, you'll see it online all the time. But I have found that 9 times out of 10, when something's wrong with that system, it was just a setting you did wrong. And I'll be the first to admit, I was like, when I first set this up, you have to be a brain surgeon to set it up.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But once you set it up once or twice, I bet you, when I worked back at the store, I bet you I helped out 2 dozen friends, family, strangers set their system up before they even left the store.
Yeah,
so
and that's the great thing about SCHEELS, just the ability to do that.
Yeah, and you build a customer for life. If all they got to do, they still get that technology, but they don't have to do it.
Yeah, they're not out in the field lost.
Yeah.
Thinking, man, what did I just get?
Exactly. So, and that goes back to what I said. If you don't want to intrude on your property and you go out there to set up a camera, you turn it on and it doesn't work.
You're intruding again the next time you go put it in.
Exactly. You just get frustrated. So if you keep that out of the game completely, it was just a way to build that customer base, and just because you want to help out a fellow hunter.
Your dad just doesn't want to intrude.
No, yeah, right.
That's what it's coming down to.
Why do you,
He's helping out a hunter.
Stay out of that one.
what, yeah, you don't want to get in this.
Okay, yeah.
He's got no problem driving the 4-wheeler through.
Yeah.
Just kidding, Dad.
Yeah, when it comes down to cameras, you just got to find what works best for your specific situation. Like the CuddyLink system works really good for you. For me, it doesn't work so hot because I have 4 different properties that are all like 20 minutes apart, so you won't get all that signal, and you can't run them all in one. So like I could do CuddyLink on one property that I put like 4 cameras out on, but then when there's another one that's a little bit more remote, then that's where you're other types of cell cameras with the normal plans would work. And then I've got, one behind my parents' place where there's a stock pond that's like 200 yards behind their house. I mean, I just put a traditional camera there, like non-cellular, because, the deer are used to activity all the time there. So it's nothing to like take a four-wheeler every 2 weeks and pull a camera card, because they're just used to that sort of human interaction anyways.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, let's face it, like people before us shot great deer and were very successful without cell cameras. And I remember buying multiple, just the standalone, Brownings or Wild Game Innovation cameras where I had to go and pull the card. And I kind of missed that. I remember when we first started doing it, when we first had, my oldest, I remember throwing her in the side-by-side and going out and checking cameras. Like that was part of the fun.
It's fun to get boots on the ground sometimes.
Yeah, and you kind of do miss that a little bit. So I'm very fortunate to have access to family property to where I can put out, multiple cameras on private property. And I know a lot of people can't. And with the cell camera world, I know a lot of laws are changing. So, especially on public property, to where a lot of those standalone cameras or those non-cell cameras, they're not going anywhere. So it's not going to be just a cell phone or a cell camera world anymore. It's going to be, I think that those standalone cameras are going to be around forever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's shift gears a little bit. Since you're outdoor analyst, you cover the whole gamut of things. Let's move into optics. What are a few pieces of optics that you're really excited about this year?
that you can tell us about.
I'm going to try and pry information out of you, so just say what you can.
Keep it locked away.
This is it's a tough question, but it's an easy question at the end of the day. I think that a lot of people in the outdoor industry, you could probably think back to your dad, your grandpa, your great-grandpa. They were all creatures of habit. They all had a brand that they loved, that they like, that they follow. And I think that's where a lot of, I bet you if you ask the same question to all of us, we're all going to give different answers, because what my dad and grandpa and uncles run are probably different than what your dad and your great-grandpa ran. So to be honest with you, whenever somebody asks me that, I say it depends on what I'm doing. Whether it's spot and stalking out west, or it's in tight, close quarters in the Midwest chasing whitetails, or if you're out in the mountains chasing elk. That it really depends on what you want. And the best way to describe it, in my opinion, is Ford, Chevy, Dodge. They're all going to get the job done. They all have great products. But for me personally, I'm a Vortex guy through and through. I almost always have. From my rangefinder to my binos that I take out west to my Furies that I use.
To your sunglasses.
To my sunglasses, yes. To my sunglasses. It's just but I have a couple of loopholed scopes that, that I just really felt that would do the job better for what I needed at the time. Whether it was coyote hunting or long range steel, whatever it might be. I have a couple of loopholds that are on my rifles. So it's Ford, Chevy, Dodge is how I best describe it. But if I had to give you an answer, I'm a Vortex guy for sure.
Okay, so we'll do a little rapid fire here.
Oh,
I'm
God.
gonna give you
right.
I'm gonna give you a hunting situation, and then just give me one optic that sticks out.
Okay.
So, Western spot and stock.
Rapid fire, he
what,
said.
What day? I'm just trying to make sure what day it is. It's the 9th. So they actually hit SCHEELS. They actually hit the floor a week ago.
So you're safe.
Yeah, they
You
actually
can talk about the UHD spotters, the compact ones.
Yeah, the UHD spotters, or I really like the new Crossfire for the price point and for something that I know my kids are going to probably drop and break. And with that warranty that Vortex has, those Crossfire spotters that literally just hit the shelf last week, they're new to the market, compact, small. They literally, it's this big. I wish I could have brought you guys a couple to see, but it's literally this big, and it's something that my daughter can hold up and she can maneuver without getting tired. And it's something that when you're going out west, that I didn't know my first time out. They always say cut weight where you can. I'm like, I can hike. It's not a big deal.
I can pack anything.
Yeah, I'm fine. But then, yeah, if you can cut weight from, a bigger spotter down to something this big, or can fit in the cup holder of your car or your truck, that's my answer.
Okay.
Sorry, I'll be quicker on this next one. Ashley's getting mad at me.
No, it's good.
And time.
Keep them on task.
I was on the timer, yeah.
I was like, wait, it's July.
Yep.
Okay,
You can do it. We can talk about it. I literally set you up for that.
Yeah,
I'm
I
waiting
know,
for
I know.
the answer.
I gotta write down what I can't talk about.
All right. Next one. Deep Woods, Wisconsin whitetail.
Just my classic Viper UHDs 10x42s. Something where I don't need a bunch of magnification, because most of your shots in Wisconsin are going to be 30 and in. Statistically, I bet you, don't quote me on these numbers, but I think it's something like 60% of your shots are 20 yards and closer in the Midwest.
That's crazy, yeah.
So to think that you need this big bino is, the smaller, the more compact, the better. And that's where I think like the Furies, those new Fury Gen 2s, where they got the rangefinder right in them, those are the perfect vinyl for that Midwest hunt. They're heavier than what you would normally use in like a UHD, 10x42 or something like that. But they got the rangefinder right in them. It's a one click, done. You're right there, and off to the races you go. So
in a Midwestern scenario, the weight doesn't matter quite as much as packing something out on the Western side of stuff.
Exactly. Yep. And that's just it.
Mm-hmm. All-purpose rangefinder.
Bow hunting or rifle?
Let's go bow. Let's go all. Bow and rifle.
All purpose, all.
Oh, God.
Well, I'm not much of a rifle hunter, so I can't speak to that side. But I have three of them. So I have the Crossfire 1400, which is a great rangefinder for the price, and then I have the Viper, which is quite a bit of a price jump, but it's an all around great unit for what I need. If I was going all around, okay, just to get back to what you said, all around, I would probably get something that can really get out there and touch something, because I haven't rifle hunted out west, so I don't know what kind. I don't know if 800 yards is a short shot, is it a long shot, is it a shot that's doable, is it a shot that I'm ethically going to be good at? That's where I would have to really dive in and research on what I really want and what that reflection rate is. Because even though it says 1400, well, that's going to be on a really sunny day on a piece of metal. That's not going to be on an elk at 800 yards. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of a yard variance in there for that. So, and all around, I would probably just stick with my Viper.
Isn't the general, I could be totally wrong on this, but I thought I remember hearing the general rule of thumb for rangefinders is like, say you have 1,000 yards, right? 1,000 yard capable rangefinder on a reflective target. Isn't it about a third of that is what's on hide or fur?
Yep. And that's when they say that, right? So a lot of these optics companies, when they say that, and a lot of their clientele are steel shooters.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And so when they say that, that's how you get that range is, your sunny day on the backside of a stop sign. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's about right. Yep. And I'm sure it varies for every company. I can't speak for every single glass company, but for what I use and what I've been told, yeah, that's pretty darn close.
Nice. All right, let's switch to broadheads. Give me one fixed blade and one mechanical.
This is where you want to go, huh?
This is where I want to go.
First question, fixed blade or mechanical?
I am mechanical through and through.
Okay.
Yep. I've tested a lot, and actually, a few years ago, I was able to get a broadhead from Scott Winkles, and it was a broadhead we were both really excited about, really to try, and bring to our associates and put on the floor ultimately. But it was a fixed head, and I'm not much of a fixed head guy, but I was like, you know what? If Scott's behind it, I'll see what it's got. And I took it out, and I happened to shoot a buck the opening night, and he went 20 yards and fell over. But the wound channel that you get from a broadhead, like an expandable, is just so much bigger. But with that, obviously, comes drawbacks. You're not going to be able to bust through it. There's not a mechanical broadhead on the market that can bust through a shoulder or a bone to where you will get that if you have a fixed blade. Mm-hmm. And that's where, you can argue till you're blue in the face, but really what it comes down to is accuracy. So it comes down to accuracy, but I am through and through mechanical.
What was this fixed blade broadhead you were talking
The
about?
Exodus.
Okay.
And we actually brought them, and they're popular, and we have a great relationship with the team over at Exodus, and it performed really well. There's a lot of technology that they put into that to where it actually, and I wish I was more open-minded to go back to it, but I've just had such good luck personally with mechanical broadheads.
It's hard to change when you find a lot of luck with something.
Exactly, and it kind of goes back to what I said earlier about what your grandpa likes and what your dad's like and whatever. And all my cousins, they all shot expandables, and part of the reason I think, and I remember this to this day, or what my dad said, they didn't want me shooting expandables because I wasn't pulling enough poundage when I was a kid. You got to get to that 30, 35 pounds. Mm-hmm. And so I shot fixed for so long, and just like any young boy wants to be different from dad. So the second I got to 36 pounds, I bought a mechanical and haven't turned back. Mm-hmm. But I've just personally seen the success you can have with wound channels from an expandable. But I've also been on the backside, where you do have some that don't deploy or something went wrong or you did hit a shoulder, and that that animal gets away, and that's just part of the game. Mm-hmm. So,
especially with the fixed blade stuff, like my big thing is like you said, I've shot both, tested a bunch of different ones, and it's really back and forth because mechanicals, might fly better, a little bit more reliably, just because there's less drag on a lot of them. But like you said, the penetration and the ability to punch through bone in certain situations is just unmatched. But you have to go back to actually setting your bow up, an arrow up to tune for a fixed blade broadhead. Because if you can get that to fly well, you're doing something right. But it takes time.
100%. And that's part of the reason why I like tuning my own bows and tuning bows for friends. Mm-hmm. Is when I do get a friend that's shooting a fixed blade, it takes more to tune it. It does. And that goes from the spine to the weight to all of it.
Yeah,
to getting that to tune to that bow, and it's specific to that broadhead, to that. It literally starts from the front to the back, mm-hmm. and that's where I do geek out over tuning a bow to a fixed broadhead versus a mechanical.
Yeah,
and just to see the way they fly, and see what how the bow performs differently to a fixed blade versus a mechanical.
Yeah. Because it's wildly different sometimes. Like, it can be totally, totally different.
100%. And I remember I was tuning a bow for a relative, actually Wayne. I was tuning Wayne's bow, or it might have been Wayne's bow. I don't remember. Anyway, I was tuning a bow for a family member, and we would have an arrow that was 6-8 inches off, just randomly. And I'm like, what in the world? And the more I dug into it, and I geeked out over it, and I just wanted to find out why, because it was the same arrow every time, because we had them numbered. And it was, the fletchings were in between the blades, so it was kind of contradicting itself. So you spun off the broadhead, took the fletchings off, refletched it to make them line the best we could, and didn't have a problem with it. Mm-hmm. But if they're off just that much, and now this was quite a while ago, and there's so much more technology you can do and to make sure that doesn't happen. But that's all part of the learning process, and that's why I'm just obsessed with tuning a bow and working on a bow and taking it from the factory to out into the woods for somebody.
100%. And back when I worked in the store too, that was the number one question I'd get in the broadhead area, obviously, is fixed or mechanical. And it's like, if you're the average Joe Schmo that wants to grab a broadhead, your bow is relatively tuned, pretty much good to go, and you just want to throw a broadhead on and hit accurately, mechanical is probably a better option to begin with. But if you're going to tinker a little bit, or maybe your shots just aren't farther than 20, 30 yards maybe, and you don't need to be able to shoot out super far, then maybe fixed is the way to go.
Yeah, really what it comes down to is what works for you and what do you like. Because that is one category, and that's why I kind of laughed when you asked that question. Is you can go down the.
That is a rabbit hole.
Oh, it's that one or FOC. Those are just two. Those are two rabbit holes in the archery world that you can dive down and you might not come back out. Yeah. But I love it because I went down both of those holes. And
we'd have to turn this into a 6-hour podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna.
And we still wouldn't come up with an answer.
No, you wouldn't, and that's just it. Is no matter what happens, you're not going to come up with the same answer that somebody else got, and that's what I love about it. And I have a friend in the outdoor industry, and he's always testing arrows and putting his knowledge out there, and he's said it forever that it comes down to accuracy, because the bows are so much more efficient today than they were 20 years ago. And that's why FOC is very importance when you're shooting a recurve or a long bow, or not something a little bit older than the newer bows, because the bows today are just so much more efficient, where you don't need that weight up front. But we don't need to go down that road.
Yeah, we just don't have enough time.
I felt you starting to like get nervous and eye me up. I was like, all right, I'll bring it back.
Yes, rope you back in here. Let's talk a little bit about saddles for somebody that is intrigued but a little bit hesitant to get into the saddle game. Tell us why they should.
It's funny that you asked that question, because like I've said a couple times now, I'm very fortunate to have property where I can put stands on, whether they're box blinds or hang-on stands, and I don't have to worry about them. I don't have to worry about them getting stolen. I don't have to worry about them going missing, whatever it might be, right? So for that, I know the property, like the back of my hand. I've studied it my whole life. But then moving out here, and as saddles have become more and more popular, it was one of those things where I'm like, all right, you know what? Let's figure this out. Why not have another tool in the toolbox? If you're going to take, if you're going to have something available to you to make you better in a different situation, then why not do it? So that's kind of how I did it. And it's something that gets said around here all the time is it's just you adding a tool to your toolbox that you can use down the road a different day, right? So I never thought I was going to be in it. I was like, a guy my size should never be in a saddle. It's not going to happen. No way, no how. And moved out here, and I was like, there's some public hunting around here, and I don't want to have to worry about my stuff getting stolen, and I don't want to have to worry about getting in somebody's way, and I'm going to learn as I go type of thing. So that's where the saddles came into play. And I learned quickly that you have to just go in your backyard and practice. Literally go in your backyard and practice. And to kind of answer your question, I would say that even if you're not going to be remote, if you're not going to be on the move constantly, it's still something you can have, because you watch any hunting show ever, they almost always have at least one point in their life, or even in that episode, they've done a hang and sit. So to make you just that much more maneuverable, and to be able to mobile, I should say, to make you more mobile, why not learn it? And to be honest with you, I took it in my backyard for like 10 minutes, and I was like, oh, this is easy. I went to the tree stand. I was hanging upside down. It was a disaster. If I could have been a bird on the limb, you would have been laughing at me. It takes practice, but once you get the hang of it, it's kind of just like anything. You start doing it, a couple times, and you're back at it. Now I'm going to do it again this year.
It just opens you up to so many more different hunting areas, and if you got to make a slight tweak, like you go in there in the pitch black and you set up, and it's like, oh, I want to be 20 yards over that way, you can actually make that move efficiently.
It's a 10-minute move, not a half an hour move.
Exactly. And let's face it, I mean, it's not easy to carry in a tree stand, carry in steps, and then go put it up and then sit in there safely within minutes. And a saddle allows you to do that. So to be that much more mobile, and like you said, to be able to move quickly, especially in like a midday hunt where if you're going to go sit all day, and you got deer on the opposite side of the field and they're moving. And this happened to me this year. I had deer on the opposite side of the river all day, nonstop. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to wait till it gets clear. Midday, I'm going to make a move. Midday, I got down and I didn't have to carry a bunch of stuff. Platform as big as this notebook and some steps. And that was it. And I was able to cross the water and get over there, and I shot a doe that day. So just makes you that much more mobile.
Yeah, I love the mobile part of it, because I used mine for almost the exact opposite of how you stated, because you said back in Wisconsin you have property that you just have permanent sets on, more like ladder stands, hang-on stands, stuff like that. So in my home state, in South Dakota, I've got a good chunk of property that I've hung a bunch of different sets around in the areas, but I've only ever really had 2 or 3 hang-on stands just at a time. So this time I was like, I wonder if I can just, and like I said, it's private land, so I've got screw-in steps. So like, I wonder if I could just use screw-in steps, then all I need to carry in is just my platform and my saddle, lose the sticks. And so I have trees that I know I like to hunt in certain areas. I've lost the hang-on stands completely for the most part, and I've just got screw-in steps leading up to nothing. So all I have to do is walk in, climb up the steps, put my little platform on, and I'm hanging.
It's a very good way to not have to worry about somebody sitting in your stand.
That
Because
too.
you don't have a stand.
You get
It
up
goes
top
to
and you're like, what the
nothing.
heck?
Yeah, and if somebody's going to steal your screw and steps, they need them more than
All
you.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they're not exactly easy to put in.
Right. No. And honestly, that's cheaper too.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to have 4, 5, 6 different hang-on stands, or you don't have to move your sticks every single time.
Yeah, and
If
let's
you-
face it, somebody your size, I mean, you can get 4 steps up and you're 10 plus feet in the air.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
30 foot with those.
Hey, that's just farther down the chute now.
Yeah. Also further to fall, yeah.
Fall. Big tree fall hard.
All right. Give me one more product you're excited about anywhere in the hunting range. Just something that you looked at and was like, oh, that's cool.
Besides the revolver camera? Okay. You know, it's been a few years since I've used it, but I'm really excited for the new Ozonics, I shouldn't say new, but the Ozonics HR500. You know, because I mean, let's face it, I'm guilty of it. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not, but sitting on my phone constantly while I'm in the tree, you know, whether it's, you know, I make myself put it down, but to be able to change those settings, especially, you know, going to Kentucky in September here, when I know it's going to be 90 plus degrees, a guy of my size is going to sweat. So to be able to have that and just change it on the fly, you know, at max, and then, you know, when I get a little bit more wind and I want to turn it down or up or whatever, be able to do it from my phone, and just, you know, have that peace of mind that what I've always told people is if it helps me 5%, I'm going to carry it in, because I'll take as much help as I can get.
Help is help, yeah.
Yeah. So if it helps me 5%, some people don't want to mess with it. That's fine. Some people don't even believe in it, but if it helps me 5%, I'm going to take as much help as I can get. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to try that the HR500 from Ozonics for sure.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for your time. I feel like this could have been about a 6-hour podcast. But,
Part 2 coming
Yeah, we
soon.
do have more questions,
have to
right?
worry. I got so many more questions.
I can do this all day.
It's gonna have to be enough for
I'll have
this
to do another
one.
one,
So.
yeah.
Perfect.
All right. Again, thank you for your time. And, you know, if you're interested in any of these products we talked about, make sure to head to your local Scheels store or visit us online at scheels.com. And thank you all for watching.
Thank you for listening to the SCHEELS Outdoors podcast. Stay tuned for future segments and visit our social media pages, SCHEELS Outdoors on Facebook and Instagram for daily updates.